Because they tell you that there's no gatekeepers, but we keep seeing the same people open the gate. Didn't Kevin open the gate and let Tiffany in? Ain't he now opening it up? Don't such and such open.
Katt Williams recently alluded to Kevin Hart allegedly being an industry handler, and the comedian actor is not having any of it. In a post on X, Hart said, "Gotta get that anger up out ya, champ. It's honestly sad. In the meantime, please enjoy my movie trailer to my next film, Lift, which will be dropping on Netflix in 8 days. There is a moment in the trailer where Gugu Mbatha Raw says, 'They really love you.' I now know she's talking about Katt." For context, in a recent interview on Club Shay Shay, the legendary comedian Katt Williams made waves by expressing his candid views on fellow comedian Kevin Hart. Williams, known for his unapologetic style and fearless commentary, delved into the dynamics of Hollywood and the comedy industry. His statements brought attention to Hart's rapid rise to stardom and questioned the authenticity of the comedic landscape. Katt Williams began by highlighting the astonishing trajectory of Kevin Hart's career in Hollywood by first questioning the unprecedented speed with which Hart achieved success.
In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club.
Williams went on and suggested that Hart's rapid ascent was unusual and posed the question of whether Hart had truly paid his dues in the competitive world of stand-up comedy. The comedian emphasized the significance of the journey and questioned whether Hart's seemingly instant success was indicative of a different narrative.
He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No.
In the interview, Katt Williams introduced the term plant to describe someone who seemingly appears out of nowhere and attains success without the traditional struggles that comedians often face, and then claims they are self-made. Williams then drew attention to the fact that Kevin Hart's documentary with Chris Rock revealed his comedy roots on the East Coast. He pointed to a perceived contradiction in Hart's narrative, noting, "He just did his documentary with Chris Rock where he shows you that his whole upbringing in comedy was on the East Coast. So how simultaneously was he here in Los Angeles doing the same thing? It didn't happen." Williams probed into the inconsistencies in Hart's story, challenging the widely accepted narrative of an overnight success. In any case, Kevin Hart also once addressed the rumors of his overnight success. In 2014, Kevin Hart sat down with Oprah for an interview on Oprah Prime, where he delved into the intricacies of his skyrocketing career and the harsh realities of finding success in Hollywood. "Hollywood has a way of making everything seem like an overnight success," Hart explained during the interview. "But I've had 18 years in the business. I put in my time. I got dues that have been paid and paid again and paid one more time after that. I stayed true to my dreams, and eventually they came true." Oprah pointed out the countless hardworking individuals striving to break into the industry and achieve success. She probed Hart on why he was able to do it while so many others faced insurmountable challenges. "The difference in me is that I paid attention to what people did before me, whether it was right or wrong," Hart reflected. Everybody that's successful lays a blueprint out. Not only did Hart pay attention, but even back in 2014, he surrounded himself with tangible reminders of those who paved the way for him, from Eddie Murphy to Chris Rock to Richard Pryor. The walls of his home, adorned with pictures and paintings of comedians he considered mentors, served as daily inspiration. "I come down these steps every day. I look at Richard. He was great. I see Eddie. He was great. I see Chris Rock. He was great," Hart shared. "It's a constant reminder. What am I trying to achieve? I want to be great." This unwavering motivation, as Hart expressed in the interview, was his belief in what set him apart in Hollywood. "What separates me is my drive," he stated. "My drive is other people's success." Anyway, Katt Williams didn't stop at questioning Kevin Hart's rapid rise. He also delved into the dynamics of Hollywood gatekeepers. Williams challenged the notion that there are no gatekeepers in the entertainment industry, asserting that he has observed individuals controlling access to opportunities. He used the example of Kevin Hart supposedly letting Tiffany Haddish into the industry, raising the question of whether gatekeepers do indeed exist.
Because they tell you that there's no gatekeepers, but we keep seeing the same people open the gate. Didn't Kevin open the gate and let Tiffany in? Ain't he now opening it up for... Don't such and such open?
For context, Tiffany Haddish may have become a household name for her starring role in Girls Trip, or her historic appearance as the first Black woman stand-up to host Saturday Night Live, but she wasn't always a star. In a 2018 interview with Vanity Fair, Haddish opened up about her early career days when she lived out of her car and how fellow comedian Kevin Hart gave her the motivation and money she needed to move her life and career in a new direction.
Did you think she wrote Girls Trip Goofball?
Right.
Or do you think that was already a script and they handed it to her?
They all ready to down Monique and up somebody who has showed them Girls Trip. Did you think she wrote Girls Trip Goofball? Or do you think that was already a script and they handed it to her? It's up to you, whatever you want to believe. The suggestion that Haddish might not be the creative genius behind her own success sent shockwaves through the studio. Host Wanda Smith, apparently keen to defend Haddish, suggested that the reason people liked her was because she was real. Williams, never one to back down from a debate, threw a rhetorical jab, asking when real became marketable in the industry. To top it off, he dropped a bombshell by alleging that Haddish's popularity was due to her willingness to sleep with a white man, alluding to her not-so-secret infatuation with Brad Pitt. As the controversy raged on, Williams praised a host of other black female comedians, such as Luenell, Melanie Camarco, and Miss Laura, who he believed had been unjustly overlooked. He highlighted the double standards that seem to persist in the industry, where a black woman's looks are held against her. In his words, "What you look like is not supposed to be held against you," and he emphasized the industry's penchant for sidelining talent in favor of those who fit a certain mold. And that might be what Kevin Hart did with Tiffany Haddish. In fact, after Katt's comment, Hart went with Haddish to the Breakfast Club to warn the comedian of bad-mouthing his star. Hart said Williams is mad because he squandered his Hollywood capital on drugs and unprofessionalism and shouldn't disparage an up-and-comer. "You had the shot. You were set up to be the star. You didn't show up to work. You effed off promo shoots. You effed off promo trips. You became a risk to the studios, which is why the studio stopped effing with you," Hart said. The comedian acknowledged Williams' talent, but said he doesn't like that Williams disparaged Haddish, lied about her personal life, and inflates how much money he makes from touring. "I have time to not be humble today. I have time to fact-check everything he said," Hart said, because the world of Katt Williams is a fictional world. Anyway, back to his interview on Club Shay Shay, Williams expressed frustration with the industry's tendency to overlook his suggestions for comedy projects. He claimed that for a 5-year period, every movie Kevin Hart worked on had been on his desk first. Williams asserted that his input involved pushing for changes to avoid perpetuating certain stereotypes, but his suggestions were allegedly ignored. This led him to question the authenticity of the industry's commitment to diversity and innovation. Katt Williams also addressed the issue of comedic standards during the interview. He explained that his refusal to compromise on certain content, specifically avoiding overtly homosexual themes, had led to him losing out on opportunities. Williams argued that he wasn't against humor, but advocated for a more thoughtful and considerate approach to comedy that didn't rely on outdated and potentially offensive tropes. You see, Katt has a long history of calling out Hollywood elites and their shady ways of controlling black celebrities. In a 2013 interview with Blacktree TV, while discussing his role in Scary Movie 5, Katt delved into some interesting topics, including a theory about black actors being forced to wear dresses on screen in order to progress to the next level of fame. It's worth noting that this interview came out not long after Kevin Hart appeared on an SNL skit wearing a dress. For context, it all started when Dave Chappelle, another revered comedian, appeared on Oprah's show in 2006, where he talked openly about his refusal to accept a $50 million deal from Comedy Central. He felt that such deals came with strings attached, and he was unwilling to be controlled or humiliated for the sake of a paycheck. Chappelle's revelations didn't end there. He recounted being asked to wear a dress for a movie scene, an experience that left him deeply uncomfortable. According to him, many comedians had faced similar situations, having to don dresses on screen, and it often coincided with a critical juncture in their careers. This, too, was a nod to the prevailing industry belief that black entertainers needed to cross this peculiar threshold to advance. Fast forward to 2012, when Kevin Hart was asked about Dave Chappelle's claims during a radio show. While he didn't explicitly say no to ever wearing a dress, Hart emphasized the importance of personal boundaries. He stated that crossing these boundaries was non-negotiable for him.
You have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you refuse to cross.
He even cited examples of bizarre requests he had received, such as dribbling a basketball on a talk show, which he politely declined. Hart stressed the importance of protecting his brand and the potential risks of compromising it. However, just a year later, Hart appeared in an SNL skit where he donned a dress, a move that drew sharp criticism from fans. Some accused him of being a sellout. arguing that he had contradicted his earlier stance. The skit portrayed him as a 9-year-old child pope, an image that many believe didn't align with the Kevin Hart they had come to know. Katt Williams seized this opportunity to reignite the feud. He suggested that Kevin Hart's actions on SNL were merely part of a larger pattern, insinuating that Hart was willingly playing by the industry's rules to secure fame and fortune. Williams opined that Hart's success allowed him to escape criticism for wearing a dress, as a long line of comedians had already done so before him.
At the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress-wearing people before him.
He pointed to movies like Big Mama's House and the Medea franchise as examples of previous instances where comedians had donned dresses. Williams didn't go all out in his attack on Hart. Instead, he subtly questioned the choices made by comedians who aimed for mainstream success. He hinted that some entertainers, including himself and Dave Chappelle, were willing to go against the grain and, as a result, might never attain the same level of fame as Hart. The feud took a heated turn when Kevin Hart, fed up with Williams' insinuations, unleashed his frustration during an appearance on the Breakfast Club radio show. Hart hit back hard, accusing Katt Williams of dodging responsibility for his actions, particularly his issues with the law and substance abuse. He argued that Williams had squandered opportunities and positioned himself as a risk to studios, which eventually led to a decline in his career. Hart wasn't mincing words. He laid the blame squarely on Williams' choices. Hart emphasized that he had worked diligently to achieve success and hadn't compromised his principles. He pointed to Williams' own issues, implying that Williams was trying to deflect blame by attacking him. According to Hart, comedy was a serious business, and those who succeeded did so through hard work and dedication, not by succumbing to industry pressures. At its core, this feud became a clash of values and principles. Katt Williams seemed to represent a group of comedians who believed in staying true to their art and resisting any attempts at conformity, even if it meant staying on the fringes of the industry. On the other hand, Kevin Hart was seen as someone who had navigated the mainstream with remarkable success, but was not willing to compromise his values or image. Williams implied that comedians like him and Dave Chappelle couldn't reach the same level of success as Kevin Hart because they refused to bow to the industry's whims. He suggested that they might have been pushed to do things they were uncomfortable with for the sake of fame. The message was clear: there were boundaries, and crossing them came at a price. In any case, one of the reasons why Katt has always had it for Hart is because he believed that the industry saw an opportunity to replace him with his fellow comedian Kevin Hart, but he didn't blame Hart for the situation. According to Vibe, the prolific comedian claimed Hart was a puppet being strung along by powers greater than himself. But Williams also asserted in his mind Hart being a puppet wasn't his fault, while comparing himself to the true story star. "We don't get mad. Just because I'm better than some black dudes doesn't mean I'm better than no black dudes," Hart said. "I'm saying if you want to be mad at Kermit the Frog, don't be mad at Kermit the Frog. Be mad at Jim Henson. Don't say F Donald Duck when you really mean F Walt Disney." But Williams also shared he had nothing against Hart at the time despite his feelings towards him. "I don't care nothing about that happens to Kevin Hart. I just wish him the best. I just know that that's somebody's hand is stuck up that baby, you understand? Oh, we're a puppet show, boo-boo. Please believe it," he continued. In a separate interview with Rover Radio, Williams addressed the conspiracy that Kevin Hart might be behind his controversies. Williams was asked if his scandals were a ploy to tear Williams down to put Hart in his former spot. But although Williams shrugged off the conspiracy, he did believe Hart was set up as a possible replacement. The fault wasn't Hart's, however. The real truth of the matter is that I already knew what the situation was, and I had already stepped to the side at the point, Williams said of his comedic career. In the industry, as it was in that small realm, was wondering what's going to happen with comedy. So I helped in the blueprint to create a Kevin Hart to fill that vacuum. Williams further elaborated that Hart couldn't affect his career because at the time he had no real power. "He doesn't have any power at all. There are no powerful puppets in puppet land. Not that the person is bad because they're a puppet, but they're not making their own decisions. Their decisions are being made by a corporation. And so it's that corporation that I have issue with," Williams shared. Williams also brought up a theory that corporations don't care for Hart all that much. In fact, they might view Hart the same way that they view Williams. If you like somebody, you're not going to let let somebody do 12 movies in the course of 12 months, Williams said. You could have broke 12 movies up in 4 years and given somebody a wonderful extended period of time in their craft, instead of giving somebody 12 movies in 12 months. That sounds like you hate that person. Although the comedian had some choice words for Hart at the time, eventually Williams would apologize for his remarks. Stopping by V103 Atlanta, the comedian took the time to address the situation with Hart. "I should have never mentioned Kevin Hart's name," Williams said. "That is the reigning king of comedy if you ask for popular consensus." Williams would further elaborate on the motivations behind his apology. "The fact that I, while being on stage pretending to be higher than that, would then stoop down to the same level and try to embarrass Kevin Hart in front of his children and loved ones after all the hard work he did since 2002 is just regrettable on my part. So I humbly apologize," Williams shared. Katt Williams has built his career from the ground up. Born in Cincinnati, Ohio, Williams spent much of his time in Dayton growing up. He started performing at comedy shows when he was underaged, spending years developing his craft while expanding his brand. His career took off in 2002, where he joined Nick Cannon's Wild 'N Out comedy sketch show. His profile further increased by featuring in 2002's Friday After Next. By 2006, he starred in his first stand-up special, Katt Williams Live, Let a Play a Play. From there, his legend grew into what it is today. In any case, Katt Williams' career has experienced much controversy. He's been involved with some high-profile feuds with other celebrities for speaking his mind. But apart from this ongoing celebrity drama, Williams has found himself in numerous trouble with the law in the years following his success. From punching a pool supply guy to getting into a physical altercation with a 17-year-old, Williams has found himself featured on the news frequently. Although he has 19 felonies, he's never been convicted. His lack of filter and his frequent troubles with the law cause speculation among his fan base. Theories emerged that Williams wasn't as successful as he could have been because he truly was blackballed in the entertainment industry. Recently, however, Williams decided to address the myth and verify it as fact or fiction. In an interview with Hot 97, the comedian reveals that he hasn't been blackballed by the industry. Contrary to the opinions of some fans, Williams isn't concerned with being mainstream. He's simply more interested in doing things his way. "My fans think like, oh, he's been blackballed," Williams said. Williams believes one of the reasons why his fans think this way is because he doesn't do commercials or sponsorships. After addressing the matter, however, Williams was quick to dispel the myth. "But the truth is, in 20 years, I've never been in a commercial audition in my life. Like, I never let my tour get sponsored when I was broker now," Williams said. "You can't buy me, not because I'm not for sale. You can't buy me because I'm not in the store. That's different." Williams may not need mainstream acceptance, but at one point mainstream accepted him. In addition to being one of the most successful comedians of his time, Williams added an Emmy to his resume. He earned the Primetime Award for his role in Atlanta, created by Donald Glover. Williams appreciates the Emmy win, but he was clear that the Emmy's significance isn't necessarily about him. "The Emmy really didn't mean that much to me. It just meant something to me because, on our side of the war, coming in, we have to agree that we're not going to win any awards," Williams said. "So anytime there's a breakthrough and we do, it's monumental." Williams later clarified his remarks on winning the Emmy. He said, "Why did he win the Emmy, though? He won the Emmy because what that guy was saying is what they've been wanting that guy to say. They wanted to see that guy like that. That's how they wanted to see him, in a dirty wife beater, in an old robe. And we wanted him to apologize and say, 'I'm sorry.' That's what we would like." Nonetheless, there have been claims that suggest Kevin Hart's ascent to stardom was primarily driven by effective marketing and promotional strategies, rather than his intrinsic comedic talent. To thoroughly examine this assertion, we must acknowledge that marketing and promotion have always been pivotal in the entertainment industry. Hollywood, in particular, is an industry where talent alone is not always sufficient to guarantee success. The ability to market and promote oneself effectively often serves as the differentiating factor between obscurity and stardom. This reality is especially pronounced in the realm of comedy, where numerous exceptionally talented comedians vie for limited opportunities on stage and screen. In Kevin Hart's case, it is undeniable that he benefited from effective marketing and promotion. Hollywood recognized his immense potential and made significant investments in him as a rising star. Movie studios and television networks, in particular, discerned the mass appeal of his comedic style and promptly cast him in various projects. However, it is crucial to emphasize that Kevin Hart's comedic talent is a genuine and undeniable facet of his success. His ability to connect with audiences through humor is a fundamental factor that initially drew the attention of Hollywood decision-makers. Marketing and promotion, in this context served as tools to amplify his existing talent and extend his reach to a broader and more diverse audience. The recognition of Kevin Hart's potential as a bankable star by Hollywood executives and marketing teams was grounded in his innate comedic prowess. They saw him as a valuable asset and invested heavily in promoting his brand, which included booking him for larger venues and casting him in high-profile movies and television shows. This strategic approach was designed to capitalize on Hart's existing talent while also expanding his visibility and influence in the entertainment industry. In any case, while we cannot deny that there is a possibility that Hart's success is purely out of his hard work and determination, we still cannot ignore Katt's claims on him being a puppet, since it is kind of strange that Kevin rose to stardom after accepting the industry demands. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.